knew music was this joyful thing, this nerve-wracking thing, and ultimately this rewarding thing. It's always hard to look back and talk about who you were, because it's only who you think you were.
She's lived it all and seen it all, but never shared it all until now. Earlier, we spoke to 9-time Grammy-winning artist Sheryl Crow about drawing back the curtain to her life. Check it out. Sheryl Crow, thank you so much for joining us here on DBL. Now, your documentary, Sheryl, is out today. Why was this the right time to share your story?
I watch the sun come.
I've always had real high highs and real low lows. All of a sudden, you wake up and you realize, wow, I just went into a hole. When Showtime and my manager came to me and said, we want to do a documentary, I was like, absolutely not.
Why?
I just felt like, documentaries typically are done when somebody's already, gone on to the great beyond. But after having long conversations with my manager about it, and granted, we were in the middle of the pandemic, it felt like the right time. I think if people know me by All I Want to Do or Soak Up the Sun, I feel like is a clear vision of a really happy, cheerful person. But there's, 40 years of living, of having been a school teacher and waiting tables and going out with Michael Jackson as a backup singer and waiting tables again, and then making records starting almost 30 years old. So, and being a woman in the music business, I wanted to tell my story.
Yeah, and I think all those stories you just told are the reason why you should share that documentary right now, because it shares the highs like you talked about, and you had the highs of highs, but also the lows, and I think that's where you learn the best lessons. Yes. So what moment in your life was the hardest to revisit for this documentary?
Well, I've told quite a few stories in this documentary I've never told anyone. I've had several experiences with sexual harassment that I wasn't given a platform to voice. And, we're living in the Me Too movement now, so women hopefully aren't going to be victimized when they step forward. But in my coming up in the business, there wasn't that freedom. Navigating fame was hard for me. I'm a pretty private person. Case in point, until this documentary, no one's ever seen my kids. And wow. There were things along the way that there's not a handbook for. There's nothing to tell you how to deal with all the attention and then all of the nastiness. And that's typical, when someone rises to fame, we also enjoy watching them fall.
You talk a lot about your journey, and a lot of this life that we live is part of your relationships. Yeah. And you've been engaged 3 times. Are you open to finding love in your life?
I'm asking for a friend. Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe in love. And I have the quintessential example in my parents who've been married 66 years. And they're still going strong. And we celebrated my mom's 85th birthday yesterday. My dad's 90, and they're kicking.
Congrats.
But they also set the bar really high. I don't totally blame the people I've been with for what went wrong in my relationships. It's hard to be with a woman that's gone a lot, and I still believe in love. I would love to find that.
Because of the experience in the industry, you seem to have a perspective that I feel like we can learn from. And, you're 60 years young. You look amazing. But let's be real here. Aging in the spotlight comes with many challenges. So what does, in your opinion, ageism in the music industry look like, and how can we be better for our youth?
I think it's not just the music business where women kind of get put out to pasture when they hit 40. I was lucky when I turned 40. Well, I was lucky and not lucky, but when I turned 40, everybody in the radio was 60. Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, and I was turning 40, and I was going through a crisis, like, what the heck do I do now? And we were lucky. We put out First Cut Is the Deepest and Soak Up the Sun. So I had some more years on radio, which is kind of unique because we don't hear that anymore. And right. I think for me, messaging wise, I want women to feel good about being their age. I want them to feel liberated by the fact that they're not competing with the 25-year-old demographic. And I do worry that we scramble to make ourselves look young in order to stay valid. I've kind of embraced the fact that I'm older, and it's not easy to see yourself get older, but it is also my way of exercising compassion.
Sheryl Crow, thank you for joining us on DBL. To our viewers, you gotta watch Sheryl's documentary on Showtime. Be sure to check out her new album, also out today. Big day today. Thank you, Sheryl. We'll be right
So
back.
talented.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.